The same food that gives life can slowly diminish it if we are not mindful. For many, after the age of 60, this becomes a hidden truth. A simple shift in your understanding can restore your inner harmony. Please stay with me on this journey, because the final insight is not truly about the food, but about the profound power of your own awareness. Timing imbalance. Our bodies, like the world we inhabit, move in cycles. There is a time for activity and a time for rest, a time for the sun and a time for the moon. Our inner world is no different. Inside of us is a fire, a digestive fire. The ancient traditions would call this the spleen chi. This fire is what allows us to transform the food we eat into life, into energy, into the very vitality that allows us to experience our days with clarity and strength. But this fire is not constant. It ebbs and it flows. In the morning, as the sun rises, this fire is at its peak. It is roaring, ready to accept fuel, ready to transform. This is the optimal time for nourishment, for providing the body with the materials it needs for the day ahead. This is when a food like the egg, which is dense and full of life essence, can be a true gift. Now consider the evening. As the sun sets, our internal fire begins to wane. It becomes more like gentle, glowing embers. The body's energy is turning inward, preparing for restoration, for cleansing, for sleep. If we introduce a dense, substantial food, like an egg, into our system at this time, what happens? We are asking the embers to do the work of a roaring fire. The body must struggle. Instead of efficiently transforming the food into pure energy, it becomes a burden. This is a profound mistake in timing. The food sits, it stagnates, and the body must draw energy from other systems just to manage the task of digestion. This can lead to a feeling of heaviness, a disruption of sleep, and a sense of sluggishness or fogginess upon waking. The body did not have the opportunity to properly rest and restore because it was laboring all night with a task it was not prepared for. Think of it like this. You have a campfire. In the bright of day, you can place a large solid log on the flames and it will be consumed, providing heat and light. But if you were to place that same log on the dying embers late at night, what would happen? It would smolder, it would produce smoke, and it might even extinguish the last of the fire. The egg is this log. Your digestive system is this fire. It is not that the log is bad. It is that the timing was not in harmony with its nature. This is a common habit in our modern world, to eat our largest meal in the evening. But for the body, especially as it matures past 60, this is a path that works against our own inner nature. The wisdom is not in a rigid rule, but in observation. How do you feel when you eat a light meal in the evening versus a heavy one? The body always communicates the truth. Our task is to learn to listen. By aligning the timing of our meals with our own natural energy cycles, we practice a simple yet powerful form of self-respect. The food itself does not change, but its effect on us is transformed entirely by the when. An egg in the morning can be a source of incredible strength. The very same egg in the late evening can become a source of internal turmoil and depletion. It is a subtle shift in action that creates a monumental shift in outcome. We must move away from the idea of good and bad foods and move toward an understanding of harmonious and disharmonious timing. When you eat, you're entering into a relationship with that food. For that relationship to be beneficial, it must be one of mutual respect. We respect the food for the life it gives, and we respect the body by giving it that food when it is most ready to receive it. This understanding is the first step in turning every meal from a potential burden into a truly nourishing act. It requires awareness, a gentle shift in habit, and a willingness to listen to the quiet rhythms that have governed our vitality since the beginning. Disharmonious pairings. Now, let us journey deeper. We have considered the when, but we must also consider the what with. Food does not exist in isolation within our bodies. It interacts, it combines, and the nature of this combination can either create harmony or it can create discord. Each food we consume has its own inherent energy, its own properties. Some foods are warming, some are cooling, some are drying, some are what the ancient traditions would call damp producing. The egg is a wonderfully concentrated source of nourishment. It is complete, it has a building quality, but it is also very rich, and if we are not mindful, it can contribute to a state of inner dampness or sluggishness if paired incorrectly, particularly in a body that may already be slowing its processes after 60 years of life. This is the essence of this second mistake, a lack of awareness of the company we ask the egg to keep on its journey through us. Consider the typical modern breakfast. An egg is often paired with greasy, heavy meats, with large amounts of dairy like cheese, or with highly refined flours in toast and pastries. Each of these things, on its own, presents a challenge for the digestive system. When you combine them, you are creating a kind of traffic jam within the body. You are asking your digestive fire, your spleen qi, to process a combination of foods that is exceptionally heavy, cloying, and difficult to separate into pure energy. This combination often generates what is known as damp heat in the body. It is a condition of internal stagnation. Think of a clear, flowing stream. This is a healthy digestive system. Now imagine pouring thick mud, heavy oils, and sticky clay into that stream. The water becomes cloudy, the flow slows, and eventually it can become stagnant. This is what disharmonious pairings do to our internal environment. The feeling is one of heaviness, of bloating, of feeling tired after a meal when you should feel energized. This is a signal from the body that the combination of foods was a burden, not a gift. It has to work over time, and it creates byproducts that can cloud the mind and weigh down the limbs. The wisdom here is in seeking balance. How can we honor the nourishing power of the egg by pairing it with foods that complement it, that create a beautiful harmony in the body? Instead of the heavy fats and refined starches, what if we were to pair a gently cooked egg with steamed green vegetables? The vegetables have a light, cleansing quality. They provide fiber. They help to keep things moving. They are like a gentle breeze that helps the fire burn more brightly, preventing it from becoming smoky and smothered. Or perhaps you might pair it with a small portion of a whole, intact grain, not a pulverized flour, but the grain in its natural form. This provides a steady, complex energy source that complements the protein of the egg. The goal is to create a meal that is balanced in its nature, one that builds us up without weighing us down. It is not about declaring certain foods like bacon or cheese as forbidden. It is about understanding their nature and seeing that combining too many rich, heavy, and damp-producing foods in one single meal is an act that lacks compassion for our own body. It asks too much, especially as our digestive strength naturally becomes more refined and requires more care in our later years. This mindful pairing is another layer of conscious eating. We become not just a consumer, but a composer. We compose a meal that creates a symphony inside of us, instead of a cacophony of difficult-to-digest elements. This small change can have a profound impact on your energy levels and your feeling of inner cleanliness and clarity throughout the entire day. Unkind preparation. We have explored the timing and the pairings, but now we must turn our attention to the transformation itself. How we prepare our food is not a trivial detail. It is a fundamental act that can either preserve the life-giving nature of a food, or it can diminish it, even introduce harmful qualities that were never there to begin with. The egg is a delicate symbol of life's potential. It holds so much nourishment in a small, perfect package. But when we subject it to unkind methods of preparation, we can damage its very essence. This is a mistake born from haste and a lack of connection to the process of cooking. The way we apply heat to our food is incredibly important, for heat is a powerful transformative element. It can be gentle and life-sustaining, or it can be harsh and destructive. Consider the act of frying an egg in low-quality oils at a very high temperature until its edges are crispy and browned. In that process, what are we doing? We are introducing an aggressive, chaotic energy into the food. The proteins can become denatured and harder to digest. The fats, especially if they are not stable, can become oxidized, creating free radicals that promote inflammation within the body. The ancient masters would call this introducing toxic heat into the system. This kind of heat is agitating. It can contribute to feelings of restlessness, irritability, and physical symptoms of inflammation, like joint pain or skin issues. It is like taking a gentle, nourishing friend and shouting at them with anger. They cannot offer you their gift in that state. The food cannot offer its best nourishment when it has been treated with such harshness. Now, contrast this with gentler methods. Imagine an egg that is poached, its form held together gently by the warm water, or an egg that is steamed, cooked by a soft penetrating vapor, or even a soft-boiled egg, where the heat is just enough to transform it into a digestible state while preserving the delicate nature of its yolk. These are acts of kindness. These methods honor the food. They make the nutrients within the egg more bioavailable, easier for a mature digestive system to assimilate without a struggle. The energy of the food remains calm and nourishing rather than becoming agitated and inflammatory. The preparation is a form of communication with the food. A gentle preparation tells the body, here is a gift of nourishment, made easy for you to accept. A harsh preparation sends a message of stress. This is not just a physical process, but a spiritual one. The act of preparing our food is a meditation. It is an opportunity to infuse the meal with our own intention, with care, with gratitude. When we cook with gentleness and awareness, we are not just changing the physical properties of the egg, we are adding our own positive energy to it. The food we eat becomes us. So if we introduce food that has been prepared with aggression, what does that cultivate within us? If we eat food prepared with gentle care, what does that cultivate? The choice is profound. After 60, the body becomes more sensitive to these energies. It no longer has the robust resiliency of youth to buffer the effects of such harshness. To choose a kind method of preparation is to choose a path of self-compassion. It is to recognize that our inner temple deserves to be nourished by offerings that have been treated with reverence and respect. This shift in how you cook is a shift in how you treat yourself. Forgetting source. We often see food as a product, an item on a shelf, forgetting its journey, forgetting its origin. This disconnection is perhaps one of the most significant oversights in our modern relationship with what nourishes us. The source of our food matters profoundly, not just for the nutritional content, but for the very life energy it contains. An egg is not an inert object. It is a potential for life created by a living being. And the conditions of that living being's existence are imprinted upon the egg it produces. This mistake, forgetting the source, is a failure to see the whole picture. We believe an egg is an egg, but this is a deep misunderstanding of how nature works. We are not just consuming protein and vitamins. We are consuming the information, the story of that food's life. Think about the life of a hen confined to a tiny cage in a vast factory. She is under constant stress, fed an unnatural diet, living in fear and discomfort, never seeing the sun or touching the earth. The body of this animal is in a constant state of survival, flooded with stress hormones. The egg that she produces is a product of this suffering, a product of this deep imbalance. It may be chemically similar to another egg, but its energetic quality, its essence, its jing, is compromised. It carries an imprint of stagnation, of stress. When we consume that egg, we are, on a subtle level, taking that imbalance into ourselves. Our bodies, especially as they age and become more sensitive, must then contend with this dissonant energy. Now, imagine a different story. A hen that lives as a hen is meant to live. She walks freely in a pasture, feels the sun on her back, forages for insects and greens in the earth. She is healthy, vibrant, and living in a state of relative contentment. The egg she produces is an expression of this vitality. It is a product of health, not of stress. It carries an imprint of life force, of harmony. When we consume this egg, we are part of a very different cycle. We are taking that vibrancy into ourselves. The nutritional profile is often superior, yes, with better fats and more nutrients, but the difference I speak of is deeper than that. It is the life force within the food. It is the quality that the ancients understood so well. Food is not just fuel, it is information, it is energy, it instructs our cells, our very being. Choosing an egg from a healthy pasture-raised source over one from a factory farm is a powerful act of discernment. It is an acknowledgement that we are inextricably linked to the web of life around us. The health of the soil, the health of the plant, the health of the animal, all of this becomes our health. After 60, as our own reserves of life force, our own Jing naturally begin to decline, it becomes ever more important to nourish ourselves with foods that are full of vitality, not depleted by stress and sickness. To seek out food from a pure source is to honor your own life. It is like choosing to drink water from a clear, flowing mountain spring instead of from a stagnant, polluted pond. Both are water, but their effect upon your inner environment could not be more different. So we must ask, what story am I choosing to consume today? What life am I inviting into my own? This choice changes everything. Ignoring moderation. In our modern culture, there is a pervasive mindset that if something is good, then more of it must be better. We apply this to exercise, to work, and certainly to food. If eggs are healthy, a great source of protein, then perhaps eating many of them every day is the path to strength. But this thinking reveals a profound lack of understanding of the most fundamental principle of health and nature: balance. The truth is, even the most perfect, life-giving food becomes a kind of poison when consumed in excess. The fifth and very common mistake is this complete ignorance of the virtue of moderation. It is an act of overwhelming the body, of asking it to do more than it is capable of, and it is a mistake that carries significant consequences, especially for a body that has seen 6 or more decades. As we age, our internal systems, including our digestive fire, naturally become less robust than they were in our youth. The body's capacity to process, to assimilate, and to eliminate waste changes. It requires more care, more gentle consideration. When we consume too much of any one thing, even a healthy food like eggs, we overwhelm this delicate system. The body cannot process the sheer volume. The proteins and fats, instead of being transformed into clean energy and building blocks for repair, begin to accumulate. This creates a condition the ancient physicians called food stagnation. The food literally stagnates in the system. It ferments, it creates dampness, it burdens the liver and kidneys, which are tasked with cleaning up the excess. This doesn't build strength. It creates a low-grade internal toxicity that can be the root cause of many feelings of unwellness. Imagine you are tending a small, beautiful garden. Your garden needs water to thrive. Water is life, but what happens if you turn the hose on full blast and leave it for hours? You flood the garden. The soil becomes waterlogged, the roots of the plants can't breathe, and eventually they begin to rot. The very thing that gives life, when applied without wisdom and moderation, brings about decay. Our body is this precious garden. The egg is the water. A moderate amount is a wonderful gift. An excessive amount drowns the system. The signals of this imbalance are clear if we are willing to notice them. Chronic bloating, a feeling of being stuck, brain fog, and a general lack of energy. These are the cries of a system that is overburdened. The path of wisdom is not one of extreme restriction or extreme consumption. It is the middle way. It is the path of just enough. Moderation is not about deprivation. It is a form of deep intelligence and self-respect. It is looking at our body with compassionate eyes and understanding its present capacity. How many eggs are right for you? This is not a number that can be given by an external authority. It is a number you discover through observation, through listening to your body's feedback. For some, 1 egg a few times a week might be perfect. For another, it might be more or less. The key is to see that the goal is not to maximize intake, but to optimize well-being. By letting go of the more is better illusion and embracing the simple, elegant power of moderation, we can ensure that a wonderfully nourishing food like the egg remains a friend to our body for our entire life, rather than becoming a burden through our own lack of awareness. Emotional imprint. We have spoken of what we eat, when we eat it, and how much. But now we must address the landscape within which the meal is consumed, our own emotional state. There is an inseparable connection between our mind and our digestive system. In fact, many now refer to the gut as our second brain due to the profound link between them. To eat while in a state of anger, anxiety, fear, or sadness is a deep mistake. It is an act of imprinting the food with a turbulent energy and crippling the body's ability to receive its nourishment. No matter how perfectly sourced, prepared, and timed your meal is, if your inner environment is a storm, the food cannot be properly digested. This is a crucial, yet often completely overlooked, aspect of mindful eating. When you experience a strong negative emotion like anger or stress, your body enters a physiological state of alarm. It is often called fight or flight. Your nervous system diverts all its resources to survival. Blood flow is shunted away from the digestive organs and sent to the muscles. Your heart rate increases. Your body is preparing for a battle or an escape. It is not, in any way, prepared to peacefully welcome and break down food. Digestion is a function of the rest and digest part of our nervous system, the parasympathetic state. These two states, fight or flight versus rest and digest, are mutually exclusive. You cannot be in both at once. So if you eat your meal while arguing, while worrying about finances, or while feeling deep grief, you are asking your body to perform an impossible task. The food enters a digestive system that has essentially been shut down. It sits there undigested. It can begin to ferment, to putrefy, creating gas, bloating, and discomfort. But the effect is even deeper than that. The meal becomes energetically entangled with the negative emotion. Have you ever tried to have a meaningful, quiet conversation with a loved one while a loud siren is blaring next to your head? It is impossible to truly hear and absorb their words. In the same way, your body cannot absorb the words of nourishment from the food when the siren of a powerful emotion is blaring in your mind and nervous system. The potential gift of the egg, its life force and sustenance, is lost in the noise. It cannot truly nourish you. Therefore, the practice before eating becomes as important as the eating itself. Before a meal, it is an act of profound wisdom to take a moment to become still, to consciously let go of the worries of the day, even for a few minutes, to take 3 slow, deep breaths, to look at the food on your plate with a sense of gratitude for the journey it took to reach you. This simple ritual is not empty ceremony, it is a powerful physiological switch. It shifts you out of the stress response and into the receptive state of rest and digest. It prepares the inner ground. It tells your body it is safe, we are ready to be nourished. By cultivating a peaceful state of mind before and during your meal, you are changing the entire alchemical process of eating. You allow the food to truly become a part of you in the most harmonious way possible. Especially after 60, when life can present many reasons for worry, cultivating this sanctuary of peace at mealtimes is one of the most powerful forms of medicine we can practice. Inner deafness. We arrive now at the final and most fundamental mistake. It is the one that sits beneath all the others. It is the root from which the other mistakes grow. This mistake is a kind of inner deafness. It is the habit of listening to everyone and everything outside of ourselves, while ignoring the constant, clear, and wise communication that is coming from within our own body. We read books, we watch videos, we follow the advice of experts, and we adhere to rigid diets. We learn all the external rules about timing, pairings, and preparation. But we fail to practice the one skill that matters most, the art of listening to the direct feedback of our own unique individual system. This is the ultimate folly, to seek all the answers from the outside while neglecting the master teacher who resides within. All of the guidance I have shared is just that, guidance. It is a map. But a map is useless if the captain of a ship does not also feel the sea, listen to the wind, and hear the sounds of their own vessel. Your body is this vessel, and you are its captain. The ultimate truth of whether a food, prepared in a certain way, at a certain time, is right for you does not lie in my words or anyone else's. It lies in your own direct experience. The greatest error is to eat an egg and then move on with your day, completely deaf to the body's response. The path of self-mastery and true health is to cultivate a profound inner sensitivity. It is to learn to ask the right questions and to be silent enough to hear the answers. After you eat a meal, practice this. Do not immediately distract yourself. Take a moment. 1 hour later, how do you feel? not just in your stomach, but in your entire being. Do you feel light and energized? Is your mind clear? Or do you feel a subtle heaviness, a fogginess, a desire to sleep? 3 hours later, check in again. Is there a feeling of clean energy, or is there bloating and discomfort? These are not small details, they are a clear language. Your body is speaking to you with absolute honesty. It is telling you if the meal was a harmonious gift or a slight burden. To ignore this feedback is to navigate the precious years after 60 with your eyes closed and your ears covered. You are ignoring the most accurate guidance system you could ever have. This practice of deep internal listening transcends the topic of eggs. It applies to every food you eat, every activity you do, every relationship you engage in. It is the cultivation of self-awareness. It is the understanding that you are your own primary caregiver, your own greatest healer. The external rules can be a wonderful starting point, a place to begin the experiment, but the experiment itself happens within you, and you are the only one who can interpret the results. So, the ultimate insight is this. Your vitality in the later chapters of life is not determined by following a perfect set of rules, but by developing a perfect relationship with yourself, a relationship of listening, of respect, of compassionate attention. To cure this inner deafness is to unlock the door to a state of health and harmony that no external advice can ever hope to provide. It is not, in the end, about the 7 mistakes of eating an egg. It is about 7 opportunities for awareness. Each meal becomes a chance to practice this art of mindful living, to connect with the food, to connect with your body, to connect with the present moment. This path does not lead to fear or restriction, but to freedom. It is the freedom that comes from deep inner knowing. It is the wisdom to nourish not just your body, but your entire being, cultivating a vitality that radiates from a place of true inner harmony. This made me realize my body has been speaking to me for years, but I never knew how to listen. The inner deafness chapter was a revelation. It's not about the food, it's about the awareness. Thank you for this clarity. Has anyone else started listening, and what have you noticed?